This podcast was recorded on the land of the Gadigal People of the Eora Nation.
Welcome back to another week of our pod, Mad About You. I am Lachie, and this is my darling wife, Jadé.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Mad About You. It's an absolute pleasure.
I'm really grateful that we have this time to finally sit down and chat together.
Me too.
We honestly don't see each other much.
We don't
during
get
the week.
any of that. Yeah.
But I want to start off this week with, you'd hate to hear it, but I have another crazy dating story for you.
I absolutely love to hear it.
And you would also not believe it, but it's actually the same person. So
No.
yes, and I feel for him a little bit because this one's interesting, and I've had a few chats with a few people about it, and I've got differing opinions. So feel free, if you're listening to this and you have an answer or you have some method that you would deal with a situation like this, please DM, because I would actually love to hear, because I got my idea on it, and I'm sure Jad will have hers, but you guys are welcome to your own opinion.
I'm so ready to hear
All right, let me break this story down. Guy I know goes on a date with this chick. They've met on a dating app. I won't say which one because we don't do free advertising on the pod. And so he meets up with this girl and he goes, like, let's go for a drink at a bar, just meet up. So they go for a drink, they do their thing, they're getting to know each other. And I think he tells me back, so obviously he doesn't tell the girl, but he goes, not really vibing. It's not really working for me. I don't think it's going to be a second date. So he goes, after about 60, 90 minutes, they've had one drink, and he goes, I think I'm going to call it. So he says to her, look, I'm going to head home. It was lovely to meet you. Take care. And he thought that was it.
See you later.
And she actually said to him, she goes, oh, are you not going to invite me back to yours? And he was a little bit dumbfounded by this because he was like, I don't really see it going anywhere. She's not really my type. But I think he thought to himself, it's been a bit of a dry spell. There might be something happening here. Okay, I'll opt for the adventure. You never know.
Oh, righto.
So they get in a car, they head back to his, and they rock up to his. He says that she immediately makes herself feel very comfortable, like she's at home. She goes into his wine cabinet and gets herself a bottle of wine, opens it. He's not even drinking because he's got work in the morning and he's not a big drinker anyway. So she opens a bottle of wine, starts pouring herself wine, goes out onto his balcony. He says that she puts on this odd EDM artist and starts playing it
she's really settled
on
in.
speaker on her phone and starts smoking on his balcony. So he was like, this chick's really just got right into it.
She's moved in.
And so he said that after
was it a nice
while,
bottle of wine?
I didn't.
Did she check? Did she do a quick Google?
From the sounds of this girl after the fact, I think she would have checked.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she would have opted for a 1998 bottle of, something special.
She's grabbed a nice bottle.
Yeah, she's decanted it and everything. No, so they're out in the balcony, and he said that they start chit-chatting, having fun, and they start hooking up. And he said that it starts getting a little bit handsy, and they move it inside, and they're not doing anything, but they're getting handsy. And then he says, and then she suddenly stops and goes, look, I don't really think that I want to do this. I think I'm going to head off. And he's like, yeah, cool, no worries, because I didn't even think you were going to be here anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. And then she gets his phone, hands it to him, and goes, can you call me an Uber?
Oh.
And he was kind of sitting there going, we went on a date, first date ever. I'm not dating you. We haven't been together for a year. You're not my missus. And he goes, you've invited yourself back to my house. You've drunk my resources. And now you're wanting to get home and you're wanting me to pay for the Uber. And
Who paid for dinner?
They didn't have dinner. They had one drink. Who cares? That drink was $7. You don't know where she lives. She could have lived
$7
an hour away.
In this economy. What did they have? Water?
Yeah, it could have been. But I thought to myself, yeah, maybe if you're dating her for a long time or, it went really well and you're hoping for another date, then sure, pay for the Uber. But why is she not paying for her own Uber home?
Sounds like a woman who knows what she wants, She's walked in the apartment.
What does she want?
Well, a bottle of wine, a cigarette and an Uber home, apparently.
Yeah, but if you know that you're not going on the second date, why would my friend be paying for your Uber home?
I think, yeah, asking someone to grab an Uber is a bit rogue.
It's not right.
In that situation, probably.
You would never do that, right?
I don't think I'd ask. I think I'd be like, hey, I'm going to head off. If someone offers, great.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, you wouldn't ask, but you'd go, hey, do you want to pay for it? Up to you.
No. I would say, hey, yeah, look, I'm going to head off. It's been great. Great kissing you.
Yeah, but there would be zero expectation, right?
No. Yeah, I would personally,
hey,
I wouldn't
out,
expect someone to grab my Uber.
Yeah, peace out. I'm ordering an Uber.
I think, yeah, it's a bit presumptuous.
Yeah, wait for this though.
Oh.
So he says that he walks her downstairs already. That's a nice sorry, mind you, he ordered the Uber for her because he was like...
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Okay.
he ordered the Uber for her and he was like, look, I
Legend.
can't be bothered having this conversation. I'm not going to argue
Fair
with
enough,
this chicks
yeah.
about morals and ethics around who should be paying for the Uber. So he said he ordered it and just wanted to go to bed.
Yeah, okay.
So he said he goes back upstairs after dropping her at the Uber, goes and has a shower, and then he said he gets out and his phone is buzzing. So it's like, 10, 15 minutes. And he says that the Uber driver is messaging him and calling him saying, where the hell are you? Get back in the Uber. Like you said you'd be 2 minutes.
What's
and then
going
he was
on?
writing back being like, what are you talking about? And the Uber driver said, I dropped you. Like he was obviously saying that he dropped her at like a service station or something because she wanted to get like more drinks or cigarettes or something. So this Uber driver was like threatening to leave. My friend was getting the messages because she didn't book the Uber. So she's inside just taking a sweet time. Could have
Oh
been
my God.
powdering her nose in the bathroom. Who knows? And then my friend was kind of like, well, this is a weird situation, right? Because like if he cancels the ride here, I actually save money and I don't care. So he was like, I'm actually not going to message the chick and say that this guy wants to leave. I'm just going to say, yeah, it's fine to leave. So he just said to the guy, yeah, it's all good.
Did
You
he?
can head off. Yeah. And I think that's fine. She's going to walk out and she's going to have to order her an Uber.
But do we have closure? Do we know what happened with the Uber? Was the trip cancelled?
Well, I'm pretty sure he said to me that he just let him know, like, yeah, it's
If
not
you need
me.
to
I
leave.
put a girl in an Uber. So as in, like, if you want to go, feel free to go.
Oh my goodness. But that's not good for his Uber rating.
Why not? My mate will give him a great rating.
No.
Thanks for saving me some dosh.
I don't imagine he would. I think he'd be like, don't put random people in your Ubers then who've taken me to the wrong place.
Yeah, but like you've called me an Uber before.
I need to
because
know-
I don't have the app.
I need to know where this person ended up. How?
Probably at another party.
need
It
the
sounds like
rest
they
of
stopped
this-
us to get drinks and cigarettes.
I need the rest of this story. I need to know what. Maybe she was banned from Uber.
The thing is, I don't think they kept in contact. So I don't think you're going to get the rest of
Okay.
the story. He didn't text her and go, "Hey, you sound like a legend. I want to see you again. You've used me. You've done a number
But
on
if
this
I-
Uber driver. Like,
if I
let's
was
hang
her-
out again."
If I was her, I would be inclined to say something. Right? Where's my Uber gone?
You would have the audacity to say,
No, I'm in the headspace of this woman. I'm not her. Let's just clear that up. This is not something I would do. But getting into the headspace of this particular woman, I think she'd be the kind to give your friend a buzz and go, do you have any
"Call me
idea?
another one."
Do you have any idea where my Uber's gone? Can you book another? I don't know where I am.
And my mate would not pick up because at that stage he's gone, look, I've done the best for this woman
Duty
I could.
of care.
She's taken advantage of my good nature,
Okay.
mine being his. He's ordered the Uber, he's tried to do the right thing, and then she's gone and mucked it up for herself.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried.
Oh, look.
But yeah, Jad's obviously feels that way. I feel like he did a thing he didn't necessarily have to do and then, taught him a lesson because she went and did whatever she wanted anyway. So feel free to let me know if something similar has ever happened to you
we
or,
wanna know,
or what
guys.
you think about that scenario.
Do you think it's okay in that situation to ask someone to book you an Uber? Or is it your responsibility?
And surely that's not a method to get a second date.
I don't think she cared at that point. I'm gathering that
But that's even more
maybe
reason.
it wasn't a good kiss for her.
That is viable.
Maybe the wine was off and she had a bad kiss and she's gone, you know what, I'm not getting what I wanted
Yeah, but
out
she
of
sounds
this.
like she would just have gone and opened another bottle.
Sounds like she might have gone on another date.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great story.
Yeah. I mean,
Keep them coming.
it baffles me. But that's the dating world out there for people at the moment. So pretty wild. But yeah, that's my crazy dating story for this
I've
week.
absolutely loved it. Okay, guys, so today we are kind of following on from the last pod and we thought it would be a great idea.
Mind you, the last pod was amazing. If you haven't heard it, I would go back and listen.
Go back
ASAP
and
Rocky.
listen. And listen to the first one too. We thought we would talk about how to kind of know when you're ready for the next steps, when you're ready to get engaged, when you're ready to potentially start a family, or even if you're just ready to commit to someone and get into a relationship with them. But, we've got a bit of experience, right? I would say.
Yeah. We're still figuring it out, see if we're with the right one, but things are looking good.
So far, we've made a few commitments to one another.
I feel like I already disagree with, I think that there's something vastly different about just committing to someone. Like as in being in an exclusive relationship is one thing. But I think once you go down that route of engagement and marriage, it's vastly different to just
committing to someone.
Yeah, exclusively. Because as in, I think to myself, like, exclusively commit to someone, go nuts. Like, as in, there's no harm done. Like, as in, and be exclusive. But as in, at the end of the day, if things don't work out, part ways, you go about your separate ways, and that's that. Whereas, like, when you're engaged and you're married or you have a family and kids, things are very different very quickly.
Yeah, I do agree with you. However, I still think there are, maybe some signs that might be telling you whether or not you're ready to do that, like hop in a relationship with someone.
All right, well, how did you
Especially, in this, like, as we get a little bit older, it's kind of like...
Speak for yourself.
I think people, once they're committing, they're really committing, whereas when you're a bit younger, it's a bit more playful.
Yeah, you've got more time to burn and
you're willing to test the waters.
Risk it for the biscuit a bit.
So hopping into a relationship is maybe not necessarily as big a thing as it might be as you get a bit older.
How did you know that you wanted to be exclusive with me?
With you? Good question. Well, we've dated before, and if you listen to our first pod, you would have heard our love story, but it's
more of a like story.
Okay, hilarious. We had already dated, so I knew you to some degree, right? Although you were very different the second time around. But I think that the familiarity and then seeing the switch between who you were when we were first together versus who you became when we were dating the second time, and like kind of gave me that clarity of, oh, okay, this guy's matured quite a bit. And
how so? Do you reckon I was always the second guy? I just wasn't showing you the first time around? Or do you reckon...
If that's the case, you are right now outing yourself as holding that person back from me.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that I fully gave myself to you the first time, so that would make sense, right?
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
I was not outing myself, guys.
I only knew you as this...
Oh, he's outed himself.
I only knew you as this singular person who was still like... Am. I thought you were a little bit arrogant and...
Based on what?
What do you mean when we first dated?
Yeah, you used to say that I just, like, was quite quiet and reserved.
No, excuse you. I've never said that.
All right, go explain.
I've told you before
Couples
that
therapy.
I feel, yeah, seriously, we're getting into it. I felt like you were a little bit arrogant and
but I'm saying
reserved
how so?
reserved in terms of showing yourself to me. Like,
Sure.
I never really got to the core of who you were. I had glimpses of you, probably more before we dated. Like, I had this understanding of who you were as a person as when we were friends. And then when we started dating, it's like you put this wall up that prevented me from seeing who you really were or who you could be, because you obviously weren't emotionally ready to be in a relationship. This is we're like circling back to pod 1. This is hilarious. Anyway, so
yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I felt like
when
when we first dated, you were a little bit arrogant, a little bit immature, didn't really take things seriously. And then when we dated the second time, I distinctly remember, and I have told you this and many people that I know, that I felt like you were a completely different person. Like, you had just, I was like, I don't know who this man is. Like, I genuinely don't know this guy because I had never met him. And you just flipped a switch and you were just this gorgeous Prince Charming like character, so doting.
Wait, I didn't hear you say again.
So doting, kind, thoughtful, caring. Anyway.
Thanks, honey. That's lovely. But.
Yeah. So, and then obviously, felt like you were the one, and I felt like I was ready to date you properly. So that's how I knew that,
sure,
you were the person for me and I was ready to commit to you.
That's very sweet.
What do you think are some signs that you're ready to hop in a relationship with someone?
Well, I think like there's different signs that mean you're ready for a relationship, but then there's also different signs. Like I think what it takes to be in a relationship to then move on to engagement. So what we want to talk about, which is how do you know you're ready for the next steps? So like being exclusive is, to me, it's like testing the waters.
Sure.
Like I want to just be with this person, just the two of us, see how things go. But as in, no harm, no foul if something goes wrong.
In that case, how did you know that you were ready to propose to me and be engaged?
Thank you for clarifying what the proposement does.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think the main thing you need with a partner to figure out that you want to spend the rest of your life with them is time at the end of the day. So I think you need to truly experience a lot of areas of life with that person and sort of test all the things that you're going to go through as a couple to make sure that you're compatible long term. So as in, we were together for, I think it was close to 3 years before we got engaged. And in that time, like, I think you need to understand, you need to get on the same page with things. You need to be with each other's families. Like there's just so many intricate things. I think that a lot of relationships fail based on conflicts between like wants and desires of people. And I think that
core values or like surface level?
Yeah, it could be core values, could be, religious things, financial things, like as in all the things that you need to discuss and get on the same page about before you take the next step. But as in, I think that you need to, like, and I know this is strange because culturally a lot of people maybe don't see it right to live with a partner before marriage and stuff. Like I have plenty of friends who didn't live with their partners, for example, before they got married for cultural and religious reasons. But I think it's quite important to do that, to see how compatible you are in a closed space together for extended periods of time. I think it's great to travel together. We've had the luxury of like working together. So it's like we've seen the ups and downs of each other going through hard times, good times, bad times, So I think that those things are so important to experience with a partner, to know that you're ready to move into like a life together where, you're locked in, it's the two of you and, you work well as a team and that's it.
What would you say to the couples, though, that haven't spent a lot of time together and have wound up being wildly successful and are still together, 40, 50 years down the track after meeting and having a shotgun wedding?
That's not to say that you can't be successful if you absolutely YOLO swag it and propose 4 weeks in and get married.
Can we roll back to YOLO swag? What year is it? Is it
Who cares?
2009? Yeah, go on.
Like, yeah, I'm not saying that it can't work. You're just saying for me personally. I'm saying for me personally, I would need time with someone because marriage or engagement and marriage is such a severe and serious thing in my eyes. Like that's how I view it. I view it as, it's the two of us and I take my vows seriously. It's just the two of us forever and there's no backing out, and that's the reality of it for me. And when we bring kids into the world, I think I'm going to feel even more strongly about those kind of vows. And so I think to make sure that I think to give it time is something quite important. And, I think that the smallest things can affect it. So it's like, let's say hypothetically, you didn't get along with my family. They disliked you. Vice versa, I didn't get along with you. Like, as in that could cause a rift in a relationship. So as in like, there's all these like very, they're small, but they're big at the same time things that you need to. So as in, if someone gets married after 6 weeks, you probably haven't spent much time with your partner's family. And I think those things are important because I think that they would make a relationship quite hard if they weren't successful.
I completely agree. Like from a personal standpoint, time being an important element. And for me personally, that's something that's important, I think, in terms of developing a relationship. However, I think there are scenarios where you can be with someone for a very, very long time. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready for the next step.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So I think that whilst time is a contributing factor and can be really useful, I think it can actually be the detriment almost of some relationships because people...
As in, are you saying the woman is waiting for an engagement, for example, and then if you don't do it by a certain time, they're wanting out? Is that what you mean?
Well, it could be it could be any scenario, not necessarily the woman, but like you get to a point where, say we've been dating for 10 years, we're not engaged, we've been together for a long time, and it's expected, it's almost expected that there's, okay, what are you doing next? Where's this going, right? And there's almost this, maybe a societal pressure to continue the commitment, right? Okay, we've been together for 10 years. Are we wasting our time now? I don't want to see the past 10 years as wasted time. I don't necessarily feel like I'm ready to commit, but I don't want to break up with you. So what's the next step? It's let's just get engaged,
Yeah, but that being said, I think marriage is like a preference, right? So as in, I'm so fine with people committing to each other for 50 years without getting married. You don't have to get married. I'm just saying the best way, I think, to know you're ready for engagement is time. But that being said, you don't have, like, as in, you can have a very loving, functional relationship, family without being married. It's not a necessity. It's just a personal preference.
And I'm just saying, in instances where people have been together for quite a while, they might feel that pressure to take the next step, but it doesn't necessarily mean they should. You know, they might. I think.
What's the detriment of taking the next step then? As in, you're saying if they do take the next step, it would be bad for the relationship, or?
I think people get to a point where they go, we either break up or we move forward. A lot of the time, when it's been a long time.
Who do you think that's mainly instigated by, that ultimatum?
I don't necessarily think it's either or. I think it could be that collectively they're both going, we've spent a big chunk of our lives together. We need to make a decision. What are we doing? You know, people are too scared to walk away. And then you see people, for example, make that commitment, get married, and then, you know, potentially they've broken up really soon after getting married because they've realized what they've done. You know, they've made this commitment that they weren't ready for because of A, B, and C, whatever A, B, and C is. And then, you know, soon after they get married, there's divorce already or an annulment. I think personally what shows you that you're ready to take the next step, and what has been really important for me is understanding your partner's core values and making sure that you're on the same page with those things. Because
For sure.
I think there's a lot of people who get into relationships and don't have deeper discussions about who they are as people, you know, really at the core, and be honest with themselves and each other about what to expect from one another moving forward. You know, it's very easy to present yourself in a certain way, and everyone wants to be the best version of themselves. But I think the reality is getting to know your partner's bad bits and accepting them for who they are. Because if you have this idea that their bad bits are going to change over time, then you're not actually committing to that person for who they are. You're committing to an idea of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really important is, you know, like, we're both flawed. We both have flaws, and we've both gone, you know what? I'm willing to accept these flaws and I can live with them. They're manageable for me. So I'm okay with committing to those flaws, you know, as well as the good bits for the rest of my life, and we'll work through it, and that's okay. But I think a lot of people don't have those kind of discussions or aren't made aware of those things, and then perhaps they commit and it's too soon, even if it's 10 years, 15 years down the track. So for me, what's really important in terms of knowing when to take the next steps, whether that be, you know, I think engagement, marriage, starting a family, whatever you deem to be the next steps, is, do you really know this person to their core? Are you confident in that? Do you trust them? Do you feel safe around them? Like, can you rely on them?
Trust is a big thing as well.
Oh, of course.
Think that you need to wholeheartedly trust this person that you're going to commit to, and that they have almost this selflessness about them, that they're, you know, going to put your needs on par with theirs. And I think that that's sometimes what people aren't really often prepared to do. And then what you also said about like finding out their flaws, I think that something that people struggle with, and I think that we actually struggled with this at the start, was like conflict resolution. You know, so when we have disagreements, it's like how to actually get on top of them, understand each other, and then move forward, and then
in a healthy way.
Yeah, in a healthy way, and not have them pop up. But, you know, and I think that that is something that people probably don't work on.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of people who will tell you about arguments with their partners, and then you'll go like, oh, so what was the outcome? And they'll go, we just left it. And it's just under the rug, and one day it will creep out again and scare us, you know? And I think that's not a healthy thing to do either. And I think that when you're going to spend 40, 50, 60, 70 years with someone, it's like, that better be a skill that you work on at the start, because you're going to need it for decades to come. So
communication can make or break you. You can have everything in common, you know, you can be the best fit for one another, but if you can't communicate through the issues, the tough stuff, that's it. You'll just crumble.
And I've actually just thought of the main thing. Why are you laughing already?
I just know you're going to say something cheeky. I can just tell.
Yeah, but I just thought, I was like, how did I know that Jad was ready for engagement?
Here we go,
not
guys.
Myself. And all it takes is sending your partner photos of rings every 4 days, and then they'll get a bit of an inkling. And so Jad was like really dumbfounded when the ring that I got her was like very similar to ones that she'd sent me for 12 months. And I was like, that's not, like, it wasn't hard for me to get this right, you know? I've got 48 pictures I could show the company I wanted to make the ring.
Yeah, look, I had sent you images, but can I clear things up, guys? I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Lach asked me a year into our relationship what kind of ring I would like.
What?
A year in, I have it in my notes in my phone somewhere. I remember you asking me.
Wait, does that make it true?
Yeah,
I could write anything in my notes right now and it just means...
Timestamp, baby.
Still.
He asked me what kind of ring I'd like. So from that point on, and mind you, he didn't propose for, I think, another 2 years.
Yeah, keep her on her toes.
Yeah, he kept me on my toenails. I had no idea what was going on, and I thought it was going to happen a lot sooner than it did. And trust me, also, the kind of ring I like had changed multiple times. So this poor guy was being updated a lot with what kind of rings I
if
like.
you think about it, all this other stuff we've been speaking about is pretty irrelevant because that's all you need.
Yeah.
Like, I knew you were ready because you had your ring sorted for 4 years.
And I didn't know you were ready because you just led me astray, and I just hoped for the best.
No, I was ready. I remember when I knew.
I think I knew it was coming at some point. I mean, you'd brought it up, obviously, but like...
You also have those discussions throughout a relationship. I think once you're... You know, like, it's definitely something that you should probably discuss. Like, fancy buying a ring and planning your life with someone in your head, and then you propose to them and they go, I never wanted to get married.
Yeah.
Don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
I want to move overseas.
It is
you know,
important.
and you're not on the same page of things. So, yeah, as much as you
at
want
a
it to
certain
be
age, maybe you don't need to discuss that when you're 18 and you're you're in a relationship. But
yeah, you're
I
in
think,
an Uber home that someone else paid for.
Yeah.
Don't text them that.
But when you get to a certain age, I think it's important to clarify what your expectations are
for sure.
out of the relationship. You know, maybe not on your first, second date, but once you start to get to know each other, it's like, well, what do you want out of this? Like, where are you seeing this going? What's important for you in your life?
Yep.
And to, get on the same page. But yeah, I think that's our advice in terms of, or just our insights in terms of what we feel.
Yeah, everyone's going to value different things and want and need different things in a relationship. But
yeah, that's how we knew we were ready to move forward.
all right, guys, to end today's episode, we're going to jump into our segment, which I'm actually really enjoying, called Ask Mum and Dad.
Mummy and Daddy.
So, yeah, we're not Mum and Dad yet, but you guys seem to refer to us to Mum and Dad online. So you guys feel free to DM us any questions you have regarding absolutely anything: work, dating, love, dating stories. I'll probably pick out dating stories more than your other questions
because
I just love them. I think they're so interesting.
But
feel free
ask
to
us
message.
anything. We think of us as like your wise mum and dad, but like cool.
Yeah.
A bit cooler.
Yeah. You actually told the dentist this morning that something had happened to your teeth that hadn't happened to your teeth. And you almost
so
argued with
wise.
him, saying it definitely happened. And he was saying, no, it didn't. So I wouldn't trust your wisdom on something.
My tooth moved. I stand by that.
Okay, it didn't. All right, today's question is from Anonymous. They say, I have a question for your Ask Mum and Dad segment. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years, and I hate to say it, but I think I've got the ick. I'm just not attracted to him anymore. But I still love him and we're really good together, so I'm conflicted. I don't know if this is something that will pass, something that I should bring up with him, or if it's just something that we can or can't come back from. Any advice would be much appreciated.
Oh no, not the mid-relationship ick. I feel like
That is a tough one.
if you're getting the ick, are you still in love though?
Well,
Can
yeah,
you
I
get
get
the
the
ick
ick
and
when
be
you
in
do
love?
stuff.
All right. Well, this isn't about me, but just out of curiosity.
Well, just answering your question.
What do
yes
I
is
do?
the answer. I could still be in love
What
with
do
you.
I do that gives you the ick?
When you do that fake laugh where you're like choking.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not how someone laughs. Like, if you want to tell me that was funny, just say, hey, look, that was funny.
Okay,
But it
all
didn't make me laugh.
That's enough about me. Well, yeah, this is a tricky one. Is the ick coming and going? You know?
Well, I think it matters what the ick is.
What is the
I
ick?
feel like if you chucked in that question, like what the specific ick was,
Yeah.
I'd probably be able to answer you
I
a little
wanna
bit
know
more
what the ick
thoroughly.
is.
But if you think about it, like if the ick was a dress sense or something, like he wasn't dressing in a way you like or something that you didn't find attractive, or if it was like a personal hygiene thing that was something wrong, that's something quite easy that you can discuss, hey, chuck on this flannel and jeans. I think you look hot as a lumberjack.
What if it's how they're walking?
Is it medical?
Like, you can't
Yeah, but you're
tell someone
pregnant
how
now,
to walk.
and you've got a bit of
No, all
bit of a
right.
waddle
We're not, again,
going.
we're not talking about me here.
No, I'm just saying, like, I still love you.
Do you have the ick, though, from me
No.
pregnant walking?
No, I think you look
I can't
stunningly beautiful
control
at the
that.
moment.
Thanks, sweetheart.
You do. You just glowing at the moment. But
Thanks,
let's solve
honey.
this person's problem.
Let's have this moment another
Yeah,
time.
let's solve this person's problem.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I feel that, again, we've discussed this. Communicate. You need to communicate in your relationship. Listen, you're doing this thing. It's giving me the ick,
Are you allowed to tell your partner, hey, I'm not attracted to you because of X or Y?
I think
hey, here's the opportunity to maybe fix it? Or?
It's a case-by-case scenario, isn't it? I feel like it's one of those things where you need to make that decision within the boundaries of your relationship. Like if that's something that you guys, would normally agree is okay to communicate about, that's fine. But if you've entered a relationship where neither of you have ever really crossed that boundary, maybe it's not.
What's the boundary? Honesty?
No, well, I don't know. Perhaps it's something, what if he's going through it?
Yeah, but as in
you just need to,
if you weren't attracted to me, right, for example, for whatever reason, I would really want to know because I would hate knowing that you weren't attracted to me for some reason. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, but what if you were going through a really rough time and I was just aware of that and that was your outlet? Am I going to then walk up to you and go, look, you're suffering right now. I can see that. But also people go through things and then, what if you're injured and you're stuck in bed or this
what are you
or
trying
that?
to say?
I'm just saying people change and that's just a part of life. And you can't expect someone to be in prime posi that for forever, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I'm rolling around in bed right now and I'm grunting when I'm trying to get up out of bed and that's just my body right now. But I know that you're not looking at me going...
Yeah, because I know you're going through it. I'm just waiting for the right time. I also think I would say to you...
It depends what the ick is.
Yeah,
let's circle back to the ick.
DM us back with what the ick is. I'd love to discuss it.
We need to know what the ick is, but
also,
I think it depends, how deep is the ick? Is the ick surface level? Is it like he's not switching his toothbrush over enough? It's disgusting. It needs to change. Or is it like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't know how to wipe a kitchen bench down and it's just unattractive.
Is that an ick?
Well, I don't know. People who can't clean things basically can be an ick, yeah.
Well, I got an ick.
Like when you would put your toes on the bloody kitchen bench yesterday and you thought that was all right to do.
Well, if we're going to wipe it down after, what does it matter?
Rubbing your hooves around. Yeah, go on.
Oh, sheepers.
What's your ick? Here we go. Look at him.
No. We'll say I'll do a whole podcast app on my icks.
All right,
that's fine.
Let's shelve
but
the
I
icks.
think also one last thing to remember when you're dealing with something like this in a relationship is to not. I remember hearing this years ago and it really stuck with me. I use it in a lot of areas of my life, but don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. So if this is something that you think might subside with a little bit of time or something like that, then give your partner the benefit of the doubt and let it go for a little bit. But tough one. Not being attracted to your partner would suck, especially if that was like a switch that just turned for you. So I feel for you, but I think open and honest dialogue, honesty is the best policy. And
be open and honest, unless they're going through it.
If you're tossing up, like brushing this person because you're no longer attracted to them, why not just have the conversation?
Sure.
And then if it goes well, great, you get your attractive partner back, you've lost the ick, and then if you don't, you lose them. So happy days. Like win-win, honestly. I think sometimes people pussyfoot around this stuff. All right, Anonymous, we hope that was kind of helpful.
That was awful advice.
Feels like we went through a few hoops with that one. But
we think communicate, firstly.
Oh, we're going to go back through it, are we?
Yeah, we're just wrapping it up. Communicate, and also next time include your icks.
Yeah, we want to know specifics.
We want to know. We want to judge.
All right, guys, that's us for this week. But thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you guys giving us your time. And if you're enjoying the podcast and you want to keep hearing our voices, it would mean a lot to us if you left a review, told a friend, told a mum, told a dad, and kept listening. So
like and subscribe. And
is that a thing?
Like it, subscribe it, and listen to it more.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week. For
Love
another
you. Bye.